about this conference, even before we got in the room, is that it acknowledges that everyone in this room is brilliant.
Yes.
And just in case there is any question about that, can you turn to your sister and tell her, like you really, really mean it, say, you are brilliant.
You are brilliant.
Yes. Yes, you are. We are pretty incredible. In fact, we are exceptional. And so it's important for us to drill down on what is it that takes place that places a lock on our brilliance. And then examine how to be released from things like stagnation, underperformance, inconsistency, procrastination, indecision, irresponsibility, and we could go on, right? Well, I want to suggest to you that more often than not, what places a lock on our brilliance is associated with our emotional life. Do all of our different behaviors, right? So for the next few minutes, I would like to talk to you from the subject of how to be emotionally free to be that exceptional me.
Yes.
Go on, girl.
That's the husband. This lock is beautiful on the outside, right? It's all bling and everything. But it represents those emotions and those mindsets that really prevent us from walking powerfully in our purpose, from using our gifts as gifts to the world, from taking advantage of opportunities that are available to us. It prevents us very often from connecting with those right people and simply handling our business. This lock, it represents invisible chains that disrupt our ability to create, to build, to impact, and empower. I know this lock because I have had experiences with it. In fact, I do not always experience myself as exceptional. Actually, I experience myself as an exception. I was successful. I had a thriving business. I had multiple degrees. I had titles. I had people around me that knew that I was exceptional. But at some level, I did not experience myself as exceptional. And what I wasn't aware of is that I had a limiting belief that I was different, and it placed a lock on my brilliance. Now, we all have blind spots, right? It can be very difficult for us to see ourselves, but we could read everybody else like a book, right? That is for sure. But we could be blind to me, and that was my experience. I was emotionally avoidant, I was incredibly busy, and I was about the business of creating my business and reaching my goals and my dreams. Well, my lock, it got released through therapy. And it was during that time that I did come to understand that I had been living my life through this lens of I'm different that was born when I was 10 years old. It was during that time that I moved with my family from Staten Island to New Jersey. And it was just a challenging transition. And I really was different. The children were very sophisticated. And for me, it was the first time I had even heard anything about designer clothes. I knew nothing about that. My hair, it was tore up from the floor up. And you just understand, that was a problem for us, right? That's all I really needed, and that was enough. And then I was constantly looking for like the neighborhood kick the can game, which never was. And I remember that my father, he took me to meet my first friend. So, of course, I was super excited. And so we got in the car, we drove to the home, parked, went around to the back of the house and opened up the gate. and I stood right in front of a huge in-ground swimming pool. Now, my 10-year-old self was in shock because I had never seen an in-ground swimming pool in a private home, and definitely not one that belonged to an African-American family. And so in that moment, everything just started to slow down. I could remember seeing the parents who were in the backyard. It was like they were floating through the backyard. They were so polished. And then I heard the laughter, what absolutely was there to cut through the awkwardness of the moment. And then I saw the little girl's face that I was there to meet, and it spoke loud and clear that I was different, and not in a good way. The impact of that moment, it created a legacy that followed me into my adulthood. And as I mentioned, it was in therapy that I came to realize that I had this belief that I was different. But I also realized that I am different. Actually, I am unique. And that is what makes me exceptional. Yes. Powerful ways. Now, that was not my first or my last time utilizing a therapist or a coach, but it really highlights my belief that everyone needs a helper. Because we all have and face experiences that attempt to place locks on our brilliance. And I'm telling you all of this because I don't believe that I am the only one that has had experiences with locks. Can I get a witness? Is there one witness? Okay, so I am in the right room. Yeah. I believe that there are exceptional people in this room doing exceptional things, but you know that there are some locks. You know that you have the potential and the capacity to do more, and you know that you want a greater reach and have untapped potential. I know, I get that, because I lived it. I understand it because I created 2 businesses and I wrote a book on how to be emotionally free, and I know how to get on the other side of exceptional. And so for the remainder of the time that we have together, I would like to just lift up 2 takeaways that you can begin to utilize immediately to unlock your brilliance. Is that all right?
Yes.
Excellent. So number 1, elevate your efforts. Elevate your efforts to be emotionally free. Now, the key to that is to be intentional. Can you say be intentional? Be intentional. So first, you want to intentionally make the decision that you're going to make your personal development a priority. Right. And then be intentional on following through on the things that you know to do to elevate you. It's so important to stay connected to information and environments that help us to self-examine and self-reflect. We have got to really stay plugged in. And we also have to just be mindful that staying connected to information and spending time and investing in our emotional lives, not only information about how to be successful in business, as important as that is. So, we're going to stay plugged in. We're going to elevate our efforts. And there's so much that we can do. There are podcasts, radio talk programs, YouTube, TED Talk, books, blogs, articles, all of that to stay plugged in. And elevating our efforts is why I wrote the I'm Being Well workbook. Because it is a tool and it is a resource to help you be emotionally free. It helps you to really be better able to manage the ups and downs of life, and to establish healthy behaviors that help you to be your best self. So we're going to elevate our efforts. And then we're going to examine our explanations. That really is looking at what is it that you tell yourself about yourself. It's so important for us to really ask those important questions of how and what is happening that gets us stuck. And, as I think about it, in the I'm Being Well workbook, I talk about the fact that we have upwards to 70,000 thoughts in a particular day. But the shocking research was that 80% of those thoughts are negative.
Right.
Now, that is for the average American, and we know that we are exceptional, but we have a tendency to bend in a negative direction. So when we ask those questions of how and what, it opens up the possibility for discovery and exploration, as opposed to those questions of why, which triggers more of a negativity. And guess what? You don't have to do it alone. That's, again, why I value helpers, and I value myself as an emotional empowerment coach, because I can act as an interrupter, a disruptor, an agitator, an encourager, and a friend that has an interest in you being your best self. I want to throw out a bonus for you. And then that is then to execute exceptionally. And really what this means is to be a boss. Be a brilliant, optimal, significant superstar first in your life and then in your respective industries. Hey, I want to be a part of your execution plan. And I can do that. If you have a phone, I have a text number that you can text me. I want to put a document in your hand. It's the 4 pillars of emotional empowerment. And so all you need to do is text 77948, that number, and you're going to text the words "be well," no space. And if you didn't get that, I have it over at my table, and I would love for you to come over and for us to talk more. But you're going to execute exceptionally, understanding that it is your sacred duty to be your best self. Because there is someone that is waiting for your product. There is someone that is waiting for your service. There's somebody that needs to hear your story and to know and hear your voice. There is someone that needs your touch. Why? Because you are exceptional. You've been listening. You are exceptional. You are exceptional. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to stand here and be emotionally free to be that exceptional me. Thank you so much.